Now we move on to another era. This is the era of the apps. Mostly it was Herman App, HB App, that was his initials. His family, that's my relative if you didn't guess that already. I'm his first cousin 3 times removed. So I'm a few generations on down from him. But we all came from Snyder County. So many of the settlers in this area came from the East Coast around New York and Connecticut and so forth. But many of them came from Snyder County. If I look at that 1874 plat map, I see a whole nest of Selinsgrove names, Snyder County names on that plat map right there. Well, Herman's dad was named John Henry App. He came here in 1861 from Snyder County, Selinsgrove. Anyway, he had a couple sons, and one of them was Herman. Herman's German name was Herman Bassler App. Bassler was his mom's maiden name. And he was 9 years old at the time that they came here from Pennsylvania, and quickly anglicized his name to Herman. Back in Snyder County, they were still speaking German, or Pennsylvania Dutch anyway. So when they came here, they didn't speak that so much. And that's probably why they congregated and lived around one another, because they had this common language that they spoke and customs. But Herman didn't like farming when he was growing up. He just didn't like it. The farm was located out here just north of the bridge. If you take County Road 8 to the west, there's a little property there, but that's the App property right there, right on the north side of the river, on the north side of the road too. So Herman learned the mercantile trade at Merritt's store in Bristol, which was right across the street from the old store, and also up in Constantine, Michigan. There were 2 stores owned by the Merritts up there. So anyway, when Nicholson left in 1895, in 1896, Herman bought lots 2 and 3 from Probosco's heirs. So now Herman owns the store lots, he owns the building, and he has his own merchandise. His merchandise he bought in 1895, the store he bought in 1896. That's a little bit of the overlap. Here is his first ad right here in the paper. This is what he sold. It takes a long time to read these, and they're very personal, I'll have to say. He was real proud of what he sold, Herman. Herman was a little bit of a Probosco Jr. Not quite as big, but big. He was big too. He went to one of those water cure clinics. Here's another ad of his. I'm still in the lead. Low prices and honest goods. Signed it down at the bottom himself. Respectfully yours, HB App. He was known as Doc. I read at one time in our family history of why he was named Doc. I don't know why. And sure enough, he bought the merchandise in 1895, started selling it. And in 1895, you remember, that's when the bridge collapsed, the 4th of July celebration. They could have easily seen that from the office in the back of the store that we saw in that drawing right there. So they could have seen the people coming down the river, and sure enough, the 2 people in the lead were another guy and Earl App, Herman's son. He was 12 years old, I think, at the time. So the people on the bridge wanted to see who won the race after they passed through the bridge, underneath the bridge, and they moved from one side of the bridge to the other. The bridge wasn't stressed properly. It was old iron, and it collapsed into the river, which is another story John told about. So anyway, that was the bridge collapse, and that's another app link to the store and to the collapse of the bridge. Here's the bridge. This is the one that collapsed. It's a 2-span bridge, all iron. I like this picture right here. I like it a lot. This picture was taken from Herman App's office. That was the view he had of the river. And there's a triangular piece right down here. You see that triangular piece? That's a little bit of an icebreaker piece. There was another one that we can't see off to the right and closer to the store that was also a concrete icebreaker, triangular in shape. And there are some stories about that. Now, this is a 1900 picture. It's in front of the App store, and you can see the Redbird, well, it wasn't the Redbird then, but the store, and they're doing some infrastructure work in the town right here. I thought that next time you see some road work going on Vistula in Bristol, you can remember this picture right here. Now, This is that area that we looked at right here. If you can use your imagination a little bit, we go from here to here. In January of 1903, Herman announced in an ad that he was moving everything to Constantine. Yeah, something ticked him off. I don't know what it was, but he took out an ad in the paper and he announced that. And then a month later, he changed his mind and put another ad in the paper that he changed his mind and he was staying. That was only 8 years after he started business. Something was going on in town. During the app era, we don't have any pictures inside either, but there are some. There was a lady that worked at the app store for a long time. She clerked and she also did some secretarial work for Herman. Her name was Laura Kantz from Selinsgrove. Kantz is a Snyder County name. She was the aunt of a guy named John Mitchell. Okay, and John tells some stories about that, about the inside of the store. So there was a lot of activity going on at the store in 1909. You can see over here on the left where they had the farm equipment over here, and we have the porch that's on the partially enclosed porch that's on the front of the store right here. 1909, I could probably say that buggies outnumbered cars in 1909. There's one car here, so we're in that era anyway of the cars coming to Bristol. And he tells this story, John Mitchell does. Farm machinery was kept in the west building, and some items were displayed in the yard area in front of that building. Demonstrations of the machinery were also held in the front yard. We can't see much of that right here, but it's on the left side of the picture. In the main storeroom, which was customarily manned by 2 or 3 clerks, and I have the names of the clerks, by the way, dry goods were located on the east side, and the groceries and meats on the west side. So if you walked in this front door, you'd see those things right there. Behind the main storeroom was a storage and office area. The bay window area in the back of the store looked out toward the river. That was Herman's office. My aunt clerked for many years there and spent lots of time in the office. Laura had a fishing line hooked up from the bay window down to the triangular icebreaker in the river. And when there was a fish on the line, it rang a bell. All right, so they did it probably so they could do it. And it was a gimmick, not anything financially productive. But anyway, it was a neat story. I've seen that in different places too. So maybe that was true. If not, you know, if some of these stories aren't true, they should be. That's kind of my thought anyway. Farm customers brought in their surplus eggs, molds of butter, and so forth in payment for goods. I believe all produce taken in this way was sold in the store. Most farm owners came in at the spring planting time and bought seeds on credit. After harvest, the accounts were settled mostly in cash. This was just kind of a neat picture. It's all pixelated. I think the original was pixelated. But you can see the store right there, and you can see the Valley Line tracks going down the middle. So I don't know what the date is, but it wasn't on this picture. But Ed can probably date that pretty. You can see a Valley Line car coming down the road. And this is what the picture looks like today. So this is the old one, about 1915, you think, Ed? That's the picture, and that's what it is today. Herman App died in 1913. And when he died, his sons took over the store a little bit. They did it a little bit reluctantly, but somebody had to run the store, and they ran it for 2 years. And this, down at the bottom, you can see where it says HB App and Sons Company or whatever. This is, and tells some of the things that they sold in here. Melons on ice, lard on ice. Boy, don't you just want to go get some lard? Minced meat on ice and eggs. They were real proud of what they sold. And then here was another ad that they had in the paper, one of their last ads. Herman was a county commissioner for a short time, 1908 until he died in 1913. So for 5 years he was a county commissioner. And that really took a toll on him. He took those kinds of responsibilities very seriously, and he went to a water cure clinic, I think in Cleveland, no, maybe it was Missouri. He went to another one anyway, but And Andrew Klein did. Andrew and his wife went to a water cure clinic. It must have been popular. Maybe they worked. I don't know. But this is his picture right here. This is his obituary in his picture. Can't read the obituary hardly, but I have it all typed up. But that's what Herman App looked like, just so you can put a face to a name. Anyway, and that's the end of the story right there. If you have any questions, thank you.